and what is controlling services and demands. So this is today topic. Last time we have completed all the concept regarding the processes. So what is process and how to use. Only give 1 minute. One candidate is coming. So only 1 and 2 minutes. Okay. So now all is clear. So our today's session is chapter that is chapter 9, controlling services and demands. So in this chapter we will start about the services. What are the services that are used? Okay, okay. No issue, Rahul. So in this we will discuss all about the services. What are the services and how to start the service, how to resume the service, how to pause the service, that I will discuss in this chapter. So in this, all about the services and what are the units. In this, we will also discuss about the units, how many types of units, how to start a unit by using the systemctl command. In this, we use systemctl command to start the service, to stop the service, to enable the service, to disable the service, mask the service, unmask the service. These all things will be discussed in this chapter. But we discussed all about the services, how to check which service is active and which is enabled. These all things will discuss. That is failed service, about the status. So these I will discuss in this chapter. Then what is about the introduction of about system D? That is about the system D. That is, so what is system D? System D is the first process of your system that will start when you start your machine. So this is your first service. When we start the machine, this service will start first. So this service is used to manage the startup of your Linux. So this will manage startup of your Linux and services startup also, service management also. So all thing is controlled by this particular daemon. Daemon in the sense this particular service. In Windows we call service, but in Linux it's called daemon. So to control any service, we require a daemon. Suppose we have a DNS server and I want to start this particular DNS, I want to disable particular DNS. So we require a daemon name. So daemon name is bind. So this is the, sorry, it's not a daemon name, it's a package name. So that is name D. So this is a daemon. Why this particular daemon? We can start the DNS service, we can stop the DNS service, resume, restart. All things will be controlled by this particular daemon. So to control the service in a Linux, we required a daemon. It's called daemon also, daemon also. So pronunciation will be different, but name and spelling will be same. So it is used to activate the resources of your system. It means system resources, server daemons, and other processes that can be start on the boot time and that can be start in a runtime. So it will control both the processes at the time of the booting and at the time of running. So we can control. Suppose this is my SSH server. So what is the daemon name? That is the daemon name is this. So we can control this particular service by using this particular daemon. So daemon is used to control the services. So what are the daemon? So daemon is a process. What is daemon? So daemon is a process that either wait or it can run in background for performing various tasks. So daemon is used to start the service, to stop the service, to resume the service. If we don't know about the daemon name of any service, we can't start. So by using daemon, we can start. So generally daemons are used to start automatically. By default, some services are start automatically when we start the machine. It means at the time of the booting. But if we want to start any service on the runtime manually, if we start any service on the runtime manually, then what I will do? So we can start the service by using the daemon. So it is convention for the name of any daemon program that mostly end with the D sign, like this. This is a D. It means it's a daemon name. This is a D. It's a daemon name. But some are the daemons that not ended with the D sign. Some sign only have name, not ended with D. But mostly the daemon name ended with the D sign. So D means daemon. So we can start the service, we can stop the service. All of the things will be controlled by the daemon. So this is about system D and about the daemons. If any doubt regarding this, Rahul, Geetu and Gopi. So you can ask Gopal, Krishna. Then I will move to the next one. So what is the difference between the daemon and a service? Service in system D sense often refers to one or more daemon. It means daemon is the smallest one unit, only it's a unit. It's a one thing. But in a service, we can have more than one daemon. So it is used to refer not only one daemon, it can have more daemon. So service is a big concept, while daemon is a small concept. It's a single unit that denote a single service. So it can be start one time in RHEL 7. This is your first service, and the process ID of this particular service, that is process ID is 1. And if we are using RHEL 6, then this is your first service. In RHEL 6 Red Hat Enterprise Linux OS, if we are using 6 version of the Linux, then this is your first service. If you are using RHEL 7 and RHEL 8, then this is your first service. If we are using RHEL 6 version, then this is your first service. So it's about RHEL 5 and RHEL 6 and 4, 5 and 6 all have the same. This one RHEL 4, it can be your RHEL 4 version, RHEL 5 version, RHEL 6 version. This is the first process. After the RHEL 7 version, the process name will be changed, that is system D. So how system D control all the things? So by using some units, it can control the whole things. It means suppose we have a company. In this company, we have a different departments. So by using this different departments, we can control all the things of this particular company. Suppose this is my sales department, this is my account department, this is my management department, this is other departments. So by using these units, we can control all the things of this particular company. Like the same way, we have a OS. In this OS, we want to control all the things. In this OS, we want to control all the things, and to control all of these things, so we divide these things, whole things, into the units. So we can have another one concept that is called units. So controlling the services, the unit name will be required. It's a service, it's a socket, it's a path, and it's a target. So we have different types of units, and every particular unit have a different name. So what is the unit that I will show you? So describing about the service units. So in this, in the OS, we have different units to control the services. So the system D is not a alone things. It uses the units, this particular thing, to manage different types of objects. We want to start the service, we want to start the target, we want to start the path, what I want. So we should have the knowledge about the unit. So this is not alone. It uses some different departments. Department in the sense units. Some common units are listed below. So these are the units that are used to control the things. Suppose this is my service unit. This is my socket unit. So these are the units. This is the path unit. So system D is not a alone thing. System D uses these units to control the services, to control the system processes. So service unit have a service extension that represent the service system services. So we can control all the services by using this particular extension. This is a type of unit that used to start frequently access daemon. Suppose we have a web server, we have a DNS, we have a DHCP. So these are to be controlled by this particular units. These all things. So system D manages all the servers by using service daemon. And the same way, what is socket unit? Unit have the extension of this, and it represent inter process. It means communication, IPC socket, that system D should monitor. By using this thing, you can monitor all the sockets. Socket means, socket is a combination of IP and plus port. What is the meaning of this? If we have a service, it should be controlled by a IP. We have a service, we start the service, and what are the things that control the things? If suppose this is my web server and I want to access, here is a user, this want to access this particular web servers, then what we will require? We require IP, and what we will require? We require a port. So this whole thing will become a socket. So every particular service required a socket. So that can be accessed, that can be listened by the another user. So this user can access this particular web server by using this particular IP and by using this particular port. So we should also have the knowledge about the socket. So what is the sockets? This one. See here, if a client connect to the socket, then system D will start the daemon and pass the connection. Suppose anyone want to access this particular web server, then this request goes to the system D process, then it will send to the socket. If the socket or the connection is available, then anyone can access this particular web server. If this socket is not available for this particular web server, this web server cannot be accessed the outside of the network or within a network also. So this cannot be accessed in a network. So all the things will be controlled by this particular unit. So this is about the socket unit. Then socket units are used to delay the start of the service at the time of the booting and less frequently use service on the demand. So this is about the socket units. Same things we have the path unit, we have the target units. So same way, all the units will work. And to control these all things, we have a command. The command name is this. So this command is used to manage all the units. So if we want to display how many units are available in the system, so this is a command that is used to display all the units that are available in your system. So when systemd is its abbreviated unit name process. So this, if we want to start any service, then what I will do? So and how to list the service units. So I will show what is the process to listing about this and what is about the systemctl, and these are the types, how to view the service, that I will show the practical. So this is a practical part. This is whole thing about the theoretical portion. Then from here I will discuss the practical. See, so Rahul and Gitu, if any doubt, you can ask, because only two, you, Rahul and Gitu are available, and Vijay also coming after within 10 and 15 minutes, then he will come. So, how to control the services? So, we have a command that is systemctl. So, command is systemctl. When we type this particular command, it will display all the things about the all the process, all the units. So see here, this is your device unit, and I will show the other thing also. I will, okay. See, this is the mount unit. This is a what? This one. This is a device unit. This is a mount unit. These all the units. So it will display all the unit. Then see, this is a scope unit. This is a service unit. Crony, cups, services. So we have different types of unit. These all the units. This is a target unit. This one is. So these are to be controlled by different units. See, I want to display all the unit. Which one is the command? So this one is the command. This one, systemctl -t, then help. So by using this particular command -t, then help, we can see what types of units available in the system. So these are the types that available in the system. So these are the units that contain in my system. And we have a different command also, systemctl -type also. Then press 2 times tab, then you can display all the unit name. Both command will be same. You can use this particular command also. and you can use this particular command also. So this is auto mount unit, mount unit, scope unit, slice unit, swap unit. These are the units. Mostly we use this unit, and this chapter whole things are to be about the service unit. And we have also one more thing about the this unit, and not the other one. Only these two things, service and this one. Only these two things I will discuss in this chapter. So this is all about the types. So how to list service unit? By using this particular command, we can list the units of the system. This is the command. Also, we can use only the service unit. We want to check how many service units are available in my machine. Then we can use this particular command. So systemctl is a command. This is used to list the units, and this will list all the service unit, not any other units. So how to show this? I will check. This is called list, then type 2 times tab. So this is about list. We can list the dependencies, we can list the jobs, machines. So we have lot of things, timers, file types, but at this time we use this one, list units. And when we type this one, all the units will be displayed, but we want only the service unit. Then type 2 times hyphen, then type, and we want to display the service unit only. So this will display only about the service unit. So this is my account hyper daemon dot service, atd dot service. So whole things will be displayed. In this, if we want to search any specific service, so you can grab this. Suppose sshd, this is available or not, service that used to control the, so this one is available, you can see here. If you want to filter from this, suppose we have a one another service, that is firewall. So we have a name firewall d, see, firewall, firewall, WALL, that is double L. So this service will be displayed. So we can check how many services are running in the system. If you want to check all the things, then what you will do? You can use wc command hyphen l commands. So there are 76 services that work in your system, that are running in your system. So these all the service unit. So these are to be loaded, active status, and running in your system. But some services that is to be stopped. These are waiting for you. So you can start this and you can stop this. So this is called exit. So these are the services, and some services that are the failed services also. This is a failed service that is loaded in your system, but status is failed. So you can check particular this one. If you want to check, grab all the failed, failed failed services. So we can check all the failed services in my machine. Only this one is the failed. So we can filter all of these things like this way. So in this, what we will discuss, how to list the service units. So by using this particular command, we can list the services. So Vijay, uh, what we have discussed in this, I will recall this. So I start this chapter from this particular point. This is my chapter 9, and in this we will I have discussed about the system D process. What is system D? And every particular system have a daemon that is called this one daemon. It's a daemon name. This is my name of the program, and this is the name of the daemon. So we can start, stop, resume, pause all the services by using this particular daemon name that I have discussed, and this also be discussed. And what is the unit? So system D is not alone in the system that control the things. It uses some units to control the things. So this is the name of the unit. And these are the units: service unit, socket unit, path unit. So that I have also completed. And we have a command that is systemctl that is used to manage all the units. And if we want to display all the units, we have this particular command to display the unit. So by using, we can display all the units that are available in my system. And here we have discussed this particular one. If any doubt, you can ask. So this is the command that is used to display all the things. So we want to list the units, and we want to list only the service unit. We can also use the equal sign and between and space between these and this, that I have used also. If I am not using a space between this and this, so we should require a equal sign. Also the same thing. So we can use space also here, and we can also use the equal sign also here. So we can display all the services. Suppose we want to display the target unit, only the target. How many targets are available in my machine? What is the use of these targets, that I discuss later. But here I want to show how to list all the target units. So at this time we are working which particular target? This one. So this is my graphical mode. It means GUI mode. So this is a target where I am working at this time. This is my target. Target means this particular units I am working. If you want to change this particular mode to CLI, so you can use which particular target? This one. This one is used for the CLI prompt. So by using this one, we can move to from graphical to CLI prompt. So this is all about the target, and we want to discuss all the socket unit. So this will discuss all the socket units. So this is about the how to list the units. So this is the process. If you want to list all the services, so we can have one another concept, that is all. All means it can be loaded or not. So see here, at this time, how many sockets are displayed? Only 25 that are loaded in my system, also active in my system, running in my system. Some are in a listening mode, some are. These are in a listening mode. But when we use --, all, see here, how many units at this time we have? We have 30 units. That is related to the socket. So these are the 30 socket unit. So all command is used to display all the things that is inactive. So this also show the inactive things also. So these are the inactives. This same thing for the other units also. Suppose this is my target, and this here, how many target units we have? At this time we have 32. If we use --, all, see how many things we have at this time. these are 46. So 38 loaded units listed, and some that is not loaded, not found. This is not found, inactive also, inactive also. So this will display all the things. See here, if we use systemctl command, this particular command without an argument list unit that are both loaded and active. If we use this one, where is all, this one, so this will display all the things. This hyphen all, load, active, sub. So these are the fields. These are called fields. Load, active, sub. So these are the fields. So we can also use state, which state we want to display. So this is type, that is service. It is enabled, disabled, static, mask. So we can use not only the unit, but give me the file name also. Why, which particular file we can enable this particular service. So this will display about the enabled, disabled, mask, and static services. And this will display about the loaded, active, and sub configuration. So this is the difference between list unit command and list file command. See here the difference at this time. How many fields available in this? That is a loaded, that is active, sub configuration, and it's a description. If we use here hyphen unit, then see we have two commands. It's a units command and it's a units hyphen files command. So this is a files. See, this is not show the active status, this status. This show all the units. These are the all the units that are enabled, disabled, active, static, and transient also. This one disable also. So this will show the status. This service is enabled in your system. Enables means at the time of booting, this service will be start automatically. But disable means this service will not start automatically when you start the machine. So this can only be displayed when you enable this particular service. So every time you have start your machine, you should start the service. It will not start automatically. When the service is enabled, this service will be start automatically. I will show this example, then you can understand this. See, but I want to display only the types and only the service unit. See here, these are all the service. But in earlier command, service unit also, target unit also, mount unit also. So this will display the service units. But from this unit, we want to check only one service. Then how can check this? So we can use grep command, -i command, and the sshd. So this is about the sshd. We want to check this particular service is started automatically when we start the machine. Suppose if we have a disabled status here, so this service will not start when we start the machine. I will show one example. We have a service that is HTTP. We have a service that is named. Named means DNS. Named. We have two services. But I want when we start the machine, this service and this service will be start automatically when we start the machine. Then what we should do? We should enable these two services. Then two services will be start automatically. I will see this example. Suppose this service is enabled. When we start machine, this service will be start. See, systemctl, and we want to check the status. What is the status of this particular service? The service name is this. See, at this time, what is the status of this particular Open SSH server daemon? So what is the daemon name? This is the daemon name, this one. And this is the process ID of this particular daemon. At this time, this is loaded in your machine and also active in your machine. This is the location where this service is located. And this is the status that is enabled. By default, from the vendor side, it is enabled by default by the vendor. But sometimes it have the disable condition also. From the vendor side, it is disabled, but you can enable this manually. So this is the whole status about the SSH. This is the port. This is the socket name. Socket in the sense, this is the IP that is not specified. By using any IP address, we can access this particular SSH service outside from this particular network. So this is my socket. This is my port number. And if I disable this, then what is the result? See, if I disable this particular service, see, and I want to check again by using this particular command. And see here, what this is saying, displaying, it will display the disabled status. And when we reboot this particular machine, see the result. See the status, what it is, what is the result. See, loaded in your system, loaded. But see here, this is in a disabled condition. What is the status of the vendor? See, it is enabled from the vendor side, but you manually disable this. And what is the status? See here, it's inactive. It means it's in a dead condition. So this is about the enable and disable status. If we enable any service, this will start the automatically when we start the machine. But see, when we start the machine, again and again, we should start this particular service manually. How many times we have started the machine? Then we should start this manually. Suppose some of the services that you want, when we start the machine, that is not start the automatically. When we need, then we will start this. We don't need, then this is in an inactive condition. So this is about how to list. So in this, all the enable, disable, static and mask condition will be displayed. So you can check this service is enabled, disabled, static or masked in the system. So by using this command, we can check. So this is about the listing, how to check. Then we want to check the status that I already told you. This is one the status. So by using the status, we can check this service is started or not. If you have a RHEL 6 version, then you cannot use this particular command, this one. This command only used in RHEL 7, RHEL 8. But if you have a RHEL 6 version, then you can use service command, this one. So in RHEL 6, you can use this one command. In RHEL 7 or later 8, you can use this one command. So these two commands that can be used. This can be used in a RHEL 7 also, RHEL 8 also. but this can use RHEL 5, RHEL 4, and RHEL 6. So we can use this command. But if we use this in a RHEL 7 or RHEL 8, this also work, but this will automatically redirect your this particular command to by using this. So in a background, this will work because this will redirect this command to this. Suppose if any user which have the knowledge only the RHEL 6, if he is using this particular command and this by using the system, this command automatically redirect to this command. In a background, this command will work. So you can also use this command. So it's also compatible to service command and system statement. Both will work. And how we can see this? Check. So this is about how to view the service status, how to check the status of any service. So by this command, we can check the status. The service is started, enabled, loaded, not loaded. All the things will be displayed by using the status command. Then, after then, we will discuss about how to verify only the status. It is enabled, it is active, it is failed. So these types of status we want to display. So we can use is active command. So see here, if I am enable this service, only just enable. See again the status. At this time, the status is inactive. It means it is in a dead condition. It's not in a working condition. But we have enabled this. If we reboot this particular machine, not 6, then see the status again. See again, at this time, which status is displayed? See, this is enabled also, but at this time, this is running at the time of the booting. If we enable any service, that service will be start automatically at the time of the booting. So these two things, runtime and boot time. If we stop this particular service at the runtime, we can also stop this. But when we start the service, this enable condition will start this automatically. Then we want to check the only the status. This service is enabled, this service is started, inactive. So we have one another command that is active. So it only the display the status, it is active or inactive. Only this, not the whole thing. If we want to display whole thing, we can use status command. But at this time, we want to display the active or inactive status of this command. See, only this one. And we want only this one. Then we can only display only this status, and failed status also. Then which command is used to check the active and inactive status? We can use this. And we want to check the enable and disable, so we can use enabled, is enabled. So we have different command. This is active status, this is also enabled status. If we use here failed. So how many things regarding the is command? Type 2 times tab. See, we can use active command, we can use enabled command, we can use failed command, and system running commands also. This service is running in my system or not. So you can also check all the degraded, but SSHD, but this, what it will display, degraded. It can have many other thing also, too many arguments. So only use this one, and this is SSHD. See, so this is only active, not a failed command. So this is about the failed. I will check this first, then I will tell you. So this is whole about what is active command. So by using this command, we can verify the specific status of any service, and to verify that the service unit currently active or running. So this will display the status that is active or inactive. So what it will display? It display the result. The service is enabled. The service is started. Then it will show the active status. It is stopped. Then it will show the inactive. So it will return this particular status. And if we use this particular command, so this will show the status about the enabled. So in a booting time, the service will be start automatically. If it is disabled, that service will not start at the time of the booting. So this is about the time of the booting. And if you want to check all the failed, the services failed during the booting and any other reason, so it will display the result. If it is failed, then it will show the status inactive and other status also. So we can use these three commands to verify the status in a small manner. So we can use these commands. And how to control the services? It means controlling means how to start any service and how to stop any service. So these are about the controlling. Suppose we have a one, I want to check yum repo list. Repo list all. Okay. So have you knowledge about this particular command? Anyone? Anyone has the knowledge about this?
No, sir.
Okay, Gitu and Rahul, have you knowledge about this command? Gitu and Rahul. Okay. I will tell about this command in a chapter 14, but in a small way I will show. This command is used to check you have any repository, you have any database, to install any package. If we install any software in my machine, then we should have required the repository. Repository means, so this I have two repository. The first is AppStream, the second is base OS. So we can install any package in my machine. Suppose we want to install a web server in my machine. So we should have installed this first, this one. So every particular server that I want to install in my machine, so what we have required? We require this particular database. And we can also have the RPM also in a different way. So we can also use RPM command. We can also use DNF command also. By using these particular package manager, we can install the package. But at this time, we have a yum manager, yum package manager. So we can install. So this is my repository. It's this one. So by using the yum repository, we can install web server package. And I will show how to start this particular web server in my machine. Because I want to start any service. It can be a DNS service, it can be a DSCP service, it can be a web service, Apache, SSH, any service, CronnyD. So for starting any service, we have this particular command. So if we want to manually start any service, if we do any change in the configuration file of any server, so we should have start the service manually, this one. So by using this particular command, we can start any service manually. So this will be required to start the service. So this thing to start, first verify this is started or not. So by using this command, we can verify this service is started or not. If we are a normal user, so we can use this particular command.
போயிட்டு வருவதானே இங்க
So we can use this particular command. So this is the command to start the service. So root access will be required for this, or it can be a sudo access. Suppose if we want to start a service that is related to SSHD, so this is required. So this is the command to start the service, and this is the command to stop the service. So these two commands I will show. See here. So first, we want to start a web service. So what I will do? We should install a package. So we use this particular command yum install httpd. This. So this is my first command. So this package is installed in my machine. So first we'll remove this particular, then I will start. Remove this one. Now check. At this time we have any service or not. status status, that is related httpd. See, so at this time this show me a message, this service unit is not available in your machine, because when we have the package, then the unit will be available in your system. So there is no unit regarding to this particular service. See here. So there is no status. So this command will show the status. This service is available, or we can say that this unit is available in your system. At this time, no. If we install this in my machine, then this unit will be available to start, to stop, resume, enable, disable. We can do anything. So first you should have that particular unit in your machine, then you can start. So what is the first requirement? That is to be installed in your system that particular service. It can be Apache, it can be DNS, it can be SSH, anything. You should have installed that particular program first, that you can control that particular service. So this is my package name, this one, and I want to install this particular HTTP 2 version, that is 2.4. So install this. So this unit will be available. Check again what it will display about the HTTP. At this time, this is disabled. When we install any service, during the installation, the service is disabled, and from the vendor side also be disabled. At this time, the status of this particular service is dead. It means inactive. And what is my thing? We want to start. We want to start this particular service first. After starting, we can stop also this for any reason, for the maintenance reason. So we can start any service, stop any service for any reason. So I will show how to start this. So this is the command to start any service. And to start the service, daemon name is required. And this is my service unit. So we don't need to type this thing. Only the daemon name. This is my daemon and this is the service unit. So we can start this particular daemon that is regarding to the Apache. In Linux, this web server is called Apache. So this will work. Again, see the status. Now, what is the status? The status is active. But you want to check it is enabled or disabled. But at this time, this is disabled. When we restart my machine, then this condition will be this at the time of the booting. This is my current condition. It means this is my runtime condition. Runtime means current condition. So this is the current status. After the booting, the status will be this. If we enable this particular service, so it will start automatically at the time of the booting. So there are two things, booting time and run time. So this is the condition at the run time. If we want to start this particular service at the boot time, so we should have enabled this. So this is about start the service, and I want to stop this service for any reason. Suppose my server has gone and I want to maintain that particular service. So for the maintenance reason or any other reason, we should start the service. So see, the status is again inactive. It is in a dead condition. So for any reason, we can stop any service. So these two things is how to start the service and how to stop the service. So any doubt about these two things? How to control the service? So in a controlling, we have two things, start the service and stop the service. Then we will discuss about how to restart the service. Suppose if we are working with this particular web server, this one, and the status is at this time that is running, and we do some changes in the HTTP server, this one. So what is the port number of this particular? This. So check all the things. What is this? This is the daemon name. This is my daemon. And what is this? This is my Apache server. In which location it has located? In this particular location it have. This is the vendor that is disabled, and this is the active condition, and this is the PID of this particular HTTPD. This is the port. In which particular port this service is listening. It means it is in a listening mode. So any user from the remote side can access this particular web server. On which particular port? This particular port. So these are the services that are running in your foreground. So these are the process that are the foreground process. So this is your phone. These three processes, not of three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 processes are running in a foreground, not a background, foreground. So this is Apache. Listening mode is on, and which particular port? This one. So this is also called the web server. This is also called the Apache server. This is also called the HTTP server. We call this with a different name. In which particular machine this is running? This one. What is the PID of this one? This thing. So lot of things we can see by using the status condition. This is the PID. At which particular time we have start this one. So these all the things you can check by using status. But what we have discussed again? So we have discussed about how to restart any service and how to reload, and what is the difference between restarting and reloading. See, during a restart of a running service, the service is stopped. First, when we restart any service, the service first stopped, then started. So this is the meaning of restart. Restart means stop the service, then start the service. So this method is called restart. And once you have restart the service, the process ID also will be changed. When you have a old process ID, so you will get a new process ID of that particular service. To start a running service, use restart argument by using this particular command. So you can restart any particular service by using this command. But thing is that it will stop the first, then the start the service, and also change the process ID. But in a real-time environment, real-time scenario, this cannot be happen, because if we stop any service, so there is a downtime in your network. Downtime means stop for the millisecond, then that will start. So that is not a good thing for your network, because it will do a downtime for that particular service. So you want, if you do not want like this type of thing, so you can use reload command. By using reload command, process ID also will be same, and there is no downtime of this, because this reload the changes only, this replicate the changes only that you have do in the configuration file. So this is the difference between restart and reload. Reload replicate the changes that you have do in the configuration file, and it will not change all the things. All the things will be same. It means the process ID same, but the changes will be replicate in your network when you do in the configuration file. So this is whole thing about the reload. You can read this. Some services have the ability to reload their configuration file without requiring a restart. This process is called service reload. Reloading a service does not change the process ID associated with various services process. To reload a running service, use the reload argument, and by this particular argument we can reload the service, and the all changes will be replicate that you have done in the configuration file. So this is the functionality of about the reload. Suppose if we want, this is a new command, reload and restart, because sometimes the services we have reload but not replicate the changes, so that will restart the service. First, this reload the try to by using the reload. If that service not work, then it will stop, then again start. It means restart the service. So we can also use this particular command also. But this command can only work only RHEL 8 version, not in a RHEL 6, no, not in a RHEL 7 also, only in a RHEL 8. Then we will discuss about the dependency. See here. Suppose this is my service, that is HTTP. If we do any change in the HTTP configuration file, then we want to restart this to replicate the changes. Then what I will do? We should restart the service. So this will be replicate. See here, at this time, the process ID of this particular HTTP is, that is 31493. 31493. Check again. Your process ID will be changed. That is 31814. See, 31493, that is at this time, that is 14. All process will be changed. See, this is 93, this is 94, 95, 96, 97. See here, 14, 15, 16, 17. New process ID will be assigned to all the process. So it will take a downtime for a millisecond, because this particular argument first stop the service, then they start the service. So this is a combination of stop and start. So it's called restart. If we do not want like this type of thing, we want to replicate the changes in my network without changing any process. Not all these things will be changed. All things will be same, but I want to replicate the changes in my network. Then what I will do? So we can use not restart command, we can use reload command. Reload. See, what is the process ID? 318415, sorry, 141516161718 in a sequence. See, all things will be same, but this will be same. This is the main process ID, but some these processes ID will be changed. This is the main process ID, so your main process ID is same, but check, but other process ID will change that work in a foreground. So it will replicate the changes in your network. So all the changes will be applied. So this is your main process ID that is mostly used for the service. See here, this is other, but these last 4 ID process ID will change. See, all changes. It means the changes will be replicated in your network. So this is about the reload and restart. So this is about the dependencies. Suppose if we want to start the service that is not starting the network, it means it has some dependency that are not installing in your machine. Some services require other services to be run. If we start this particular first, then this particular can work. It means some services have some dependencies, then that particular service will work. So other services not started at the boot time, but rather than only on the demand. So if we want to check the dependency of any service, so which command is used? This command can be used, that is list dependency also. Okay, at this time we don't have any command. This one, this is the command. to check or list the dependencies. So if we want to list the dependency of this particular service, before starting SSH service, what service will we start first? So we can check by using this particular, and this is the last thing of this particular chapter. After completing masking and unmasking, this chapter will be complete. So this is a small chapter, and it's not have more things, just only start, restart, reload, stop, masking, unmasking, status. So it's not a big chapter. It have small things regarding only the services. So how to mask the service, how to unmask the service. First, I will check this one. We want to check the dependencies of HTTP only. So what I will do, list dependencies. So these are the dependencies that are required for which particular service? This one. So for this, these all services will be start. These all services will be required for this one. So these are the dependencies for this. So we can check the dependencies of any service by using this particular command. If I use SSSD, this will show the SSSD keys and things, and this one. Suppose I want to use this one. So this will require these dependencies only for this one. So these three dependencies are required. So every particular service have some dependencies that are to be run in the system. So we can check. At this time, these are not working in your machine. These to be installed first. If we want to check this, we want to use this. So these are the green. It means these are in a working condition. Green means working condition. Suppose if we want to use this particular thing, so this should be installed or it should be generated first. I will show this particular thing in a SSH chapter. So first create this particular key, then you can use this. If we are using this thing in your network, then this will be green. At this time, you are not using anything. So this is black. Then what is the masking and unmasking? Read these lines. Then tell me what is the meaning of masking and unmasking. This is for you. So explain these things for me. So now it's your turn to teach me. First read this, then explain this. What is masking and unmasking? Gitu and Rahul, both will display for me. Explain these things. What is masking and unmasking after reading?
So to avoid unwanted services started, so we use the masking process.
Okay. And Gitu and Rahul, what is the opinion about masking and unmasking? So give me.
So basically, what we are doing through masking is we don't want some service to start. That is why we mask that service. And if we want to start the service, then we unmask it again.
Rahul, have you knowledge about this after reading the whole lines? What you have to avoid unwanted accidentally use? Okay, I will tell you. Suppose I will show one example, then I will discuss this thing. Suppose we have a service that is firewall. You all have knowledge about the firewall. So you have the firewall. To control the firewall, we have a thing that is firewall D. This one. And in RHL6, we also use the IP table. These two things are used to control the system. The first is firewall D and the IP table. If you enable some rules here by using the IP table, and you also apply some changes in your machine, it means this OS. This app different and this app different. If you use both things in your one OS, then it can be conflict to each other. Suppose this say use this particular port. I will show one example. This by using this allowed this particular port, but this has disallowed this particular port. For the same service is HTTP, that is HTTP. The service is HTTP. We have by using firewall demanner, we have disallowed this. So this is not allowed in a network. And what it will say? This is allowed. Then what will happen? And one another example. Suppose you have a machine. This is my one NIC, and you come here, then give the IP, and we have also a NIC. This is my 10.1 IP. That is 10.1. This will also come and apply 10.1 IP. What will happen in the network? Tell me. It will conflict this particular name because this is the same thing. This IP is allotted to this particular NIC. So only one concept will be work, not the same IP on this particular NIC cannot work. Same thing here. Suppose we have a program that is Apache, and we have also another thing that also provide the same thing like the Apache, and we use both the things at the same times. So these two things at the same time will not work because this will conflict in the network. And I want to stop one service permanently. If we start this, it cannot be start. It means permanently stop the service. Then we can mask the particular service. See here, at the time of a system may have different services that is installed in your system that can be conflict to each other. If more services available in your system and all the services have the same work, at the time of you can stop one service permanently. So that cannot start automatically or manually, cannot start automatically or manually. If you want to start, it cannot be start. If you start this at a booting time, it cannot be start. So this concept is called mask. If you want that it not start at the time of the booting, it cannot start at the time of the running. So there are multiple methods to manage mail server. Suppose we have a service that is mail service, both postfix and send mail. All the process, it means these two programs provide the mail service. If we use both in the one OS, that can be conflict in my network. So I want to disable this particular service permanently. Then what we can do? We can mask this particular service. So see here, masking a service will prevent, it means it will restrict a administrator to start the service. So it will prevent the administrator from accidentally, if I forget, I'm using postfix or sendmail and I'm starting this one that I have stopped. If we start this will show me a message. This is a service that is masked by you. So you cannot start this. You cannot start this service. So accidentally, if I want to start, it can't be start. So for the confliction reason, and sometimes there is a process that is in a maintenance purpose. For the maintenance also, we can mask the service. You can see this is a road and this is in a construction. So you can see a board work in progress. So carefully slow your speed and then go outside this particular, not from this side. So you can see the board work in progress means in a maintenance process. So you should be clear about this. So it also show about the maintenance purpose also. So by using the masking, it will create a link in the configuration file. If you are trying to start this service, this will goes to here. If we place any particular value in a null, that will be 0. 0 means not specified. So that this service will not start at any condition. If you want to start this, so you should first unmask this service. If this service is unmasked, then you can start this, because it will again create a link in this particular location. If you mask this will create a link in this, and no any service cannot be start from this particular location. This is just like a dustbin. So it will not start at the time of the booting or manually also. So when you mask any service, that service will not start manually also and booting time also. So this is whole thing about the masking. If you mask the service, you should have unmasked first, then you can start the service for any reason. I will show one example, then you can understand this thing. See. See, this is the status of my service. At this time, we want to restart this. So restart also at the working condition. We want to stop this. STOP. All things will work properly. You can stop this. If you want to start this again, you can start. You have all the rights. But if I mask this service for any reason, mask. See, so this will create a link of, because you know all the configurations files have the location that is /etc. That is linked with systemd, and in a systemd there is another folder that is system, and in this particular folder we have a service. The service name is this. This will goes to this location. So no service will start from this location, because this is a not specified location. Then see the status of this particular service, what it will show me. See, at this time this is in a running condition, but this service is masked, and I want to start this service or restart this service. What it will display me. See, there is a message that is regarding to fail to restart this particular service. The unit HTTPD service is masked. If you want to enable this particular service, see again, it will again show me a message. This is a masked service. So accidentally this service cannot be installed, cannot be enabled. If we reboot this machine, see again, what is the impact? See, loaded, but in a mask condition. You can check the status here. List hyphen unit hyphen files. Not, see this. All the services will be displayed. And I want to check my service that is regarding to HTTPD. See here. This service is in a mask condition, and you want to check all the masked service that is in your system. So check only the masked. Only two services that is in a mask condition. That is systemd time dated command and HTTPD this command. If we mask any other service, that will also be displayed. See, there are 3 services that are masked in your system. So this is the concept. If I mask any service, so we should have, see, if I want to start this again, see here, you cannot start this service. So you should first unmask this, then you are able to start this, you are able to enable this, you are able to restart this particular service after doing the unmasking function. Without unmasking, you are not able to start, enable and restart also. See this, you can start this, you can also restart this, and you can also enable this. But without unmasking, you are not able to doing these things. So this is whole about masking, unmasking, start, restart, enable, status. These all will be completed in this chapter. So this chapter will be ended. So this have to be complete. We have another thing that is regarding the disable also, that I am not discussing about the enable and disable, this one. So I will show enable and disable. So this whole thing will be complete. So we have another one condition that is regarding to the enable. If we want to disable this at the time of the booting, then what I will do, disable this. So at the time of booting, it will not start. Check the status. So this is a disable condition. So this is the thing. Start HTTPD. So unmask this. You can check HTTPD about service. So this is a disable condition. This is an inactive condition. So we should start this first. Start. Suppose we have a one command. See here, I will show you one more command. But this command will work only in RHEL 8. See, what is the status of HTTPD? See here, running, or that is disabled. If we stop this, suppose if I stop this particular service, see, then check what is the status. This is inactive and this is disabled. By using this small command, I will show you. Is -active and is -enable. So we have two status. See, I want to active this and enable this by using one command. Then what I will do? So we can use one more command, that is which one? We have a command that is stop enable hyphen that is now, this one. So what is the impact of this? See, this is inactive. So when we use start, this will be active. When we use active enable, then this will be enabled. So by using two commands, these two things will be complete. But by using this one command, this will enable this command, and this will enable, it means start this particular command on the runtime. This will on for the boot time, this will for the runtime. See, again see, all two things will be complete. It will active, enabled also, and you can check the status. So this will be started, this will be enabled on booting time. But this command not work in RHEL 7 also. So only for the 8. Hyphen now means run time. Enable means booting time. This will start this particular service. So we can use this in a one command. So this will be completed. So this is for the boot time also. Boot and run time. Start this particular service. So my chapter will be complete. If you have any question regarding this and about the whole chapter, any query you can ask. Then in the next class, what I will display, what I will teach you, this chapter, that is configuring and securing SSH. So I will start chapter 10. Chapter 9 will complete. So this one. Okay. So this is for 15 big days. It's not a Hindi, it's a English. At the time of 10, 12, 12. So this is my topic. Okay. So I will end the session if you don't have any query. Okay. So any other doubt? Gitu, Vijay and Rahul.
No doubt, sir.
Okay. I will share the document also and tell to ma'am, so she will send you. If she not send, then I will send you personally. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So I will end the session. Okay, Rahul. And Gitu, any doubt? Then I will end the session. Okay. Welcome, Rahul. Okay. I will end. Okay, bye.